So I want to open up with a passage of Scripture this morning, but before I do, let me just ask you this. It's January, it's a new year. Most of us have been through kind of the season of reflection of last year. Most of us have kind of moved into that headspace of like, okay, it's a new year, what does that mean? Some of you probably have done some goal-setting exercises. If you haven't, by the way, that's not a bad idea to actually just write down what are those desires that God's pressing upon your heart, mind, and soul. One of the questions I want to ask you is this, have you said anything about how and whom you will serve? As you think about the new year, what does it look like to serve one another? Here's a passage from Joshua chapter 24:15. Choose you this day whom you will serve. Choose you this day whom you will serve. There's some intentionality that comes with serving. Now, some of us naturally, you're serving your family, maybe you're already tied into an organization, but what's the intentionality? What's the forward thought? What's the energy that leans forward and goes, no, I want to choose to serve in this way. And of course, Joshua finishes up that verse by saying, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That's going to be the center place for it all. All the serving rotates around this center. The center of the magnet here is serving God. James 1:27 says this, and it really, if you want to serve God, real, true religion from the Father's perspective is about caring for the orphans and widows who suffer needlessly and resisting the evil influence of the world. Psalm 82:3 and 4. Give justice to the poor and the orphan. Uphold the rights of the oppressed and the destitute. Rescue the poor and helpless. Deliver them from the grasp of evil people. These verses and so many more talk about how for the church collectively, one of the most important things we can do, the center of it all, and one thing that keeps us centered, kind of draws us back and keeps us in, kind of keeps our motives pure, is to make sure we're serving those who are in the greatest need. Who are those who are under-resourced? Who are those who can't defend themselves? And throughout all of history, that's especially fallen to those who are orphaned, to those who are single parents, to those who need someone to come alongside to serve them and to invest in them and to give to them. Now, Journey's been around for about 13 years, and for those of you who've been around since the old days, you know this was a big part of who we are. As a matter of fact, you could argue we even disproportionately gave outside the walls of our church because we loved it. We saw this as the centerpiece of the gospel. And so we served in countries like Haiti and Nicaragua. We were involved in trying to stem the human trafficking that was happening in Cambodia. We got involved in hospice care in India. Just a bunch of countries all over trying to help be a part of serving the world at its needs. Nationally, we loved being involved in church plants. And so we were a church plant, and we wanted to keep doing that. So probably 13 church plants in our first decade that we either sent out from Journey, they were literally lay people or people on staff, some of our elders, or someone who's connected to Journey that we helped participate in the church plants. There were 13 of those over the course of 10 years. So just sending people out. Locally, we love to serve, so we partnered with local ministries. There were probably a half dozen to a dozen local ministries we served. As a matter of fact, there was a season in the early life of our church like this. We were kind of confined for space, and we were in Franklin at the time, close to downtown, and there were some ministries really close. So we just asked our folks in those early days, hey, would a portion of you not come to the service, just come like in jeans and shorts, and we're going to go serve some of these local ministries. There are going to be work days and other things. So for about 2 years, 50 to 100 people every Sunday didn't come to the service. They just went and served instead. That was just our way to open up seats. So we love to serve people in need who either are not connected to a church or don't know God or who feel destitute and are desperately in need. But we also have a responsibility to our church. We also have a ministry opportunity to our family. And those of you who know our story, about 2 years ago, we went through a massive transition. There was a lot of loss. We were in the factory for 10 years, so we left the factory. We bounced around to a couple locations until we found this place. We knew we were going to have to enter a facilities expansion, which we're full on into right now. But we knew that was going to happen, so we were going to have to give attention. We're going to have to buy property. We're going to have to rebuild. So there's physical things that needed. And the other thing that happened is we went through a massive transition in our church staff. Part of it was church planting. We were sending some people out to church plants. Several other people moved out of town. A number of things happened all at one time. And so we basically rebuilt our whole staff in a new city. We went from Franklin to Brentwood with new people. Many of you we never would have met had we not come up to Brentwood. In a new location with shortly new buildings, and everything has been new. And so there's been this sense of, when you're on the plane, they're like, if there's a problem, the oxygen mask pops out, like put it on yourself before you give it to your kid. It was like, we probably should breathe a little bit. So we've spent the last year and a half going, let's make sure we do some self-care. How do we care for, before we go keep serving the world, how are we caring for our church? So there's really been a focus to just drill in and make sure we're strong. Well, part of what we're celebrating today is that we are feeling strong again at the core. As we've rebuilt most of the staff, we've got a couple other folks we're still going to hire, but we're almost there with staff. Our systems are good, they're solid, the building thing's about to happen. We know there are more people coming. Kevin reminds me all the time about the logistics. And he's like, there are all kinds of people that are going to come and we can expand the space. Are we prepared to serve and love them well? And so part of our conversation today is to go, hey, we're so close to being ready for that, as ready as you can be, but at least to be prepared. Maybe that's a good word. But the place we need to press in as we enter 2019 is to make sure we're doing it together. That we're not just counting on a staff to care for everybody's needs. We all know what happens. Some of you actually are here because you were burned out in some ministry, nonprofit, church, whatever. And you came here to fuel up and heal. And that's part of what we feel Journey's called to be. Not just the physically destitute, but sometimes the emotionally destitute, the religiously abused. And that we want to be a hallmark of who Journey is, that people can come, and sometimes people just need to sit for a year, 2 years. Sometimes it just takes a while to heal. We call it Journey for a reason. You're welcome here no matter where you are. But for some of you, you've healed up, or for some of you, you're here and you go, yeah, I need to be stretched. I need to be pushed. Like, put me in, coach, I'm ready. And part of it is like, but where? Well, our goal today was to go, let's introduce you to some of the staff, some of the needs, and let you hear a little bit about where they are and what we're heading into for 2019. So you guys come on up here and join me, and I'm going to read one more passage from the book of 1 Corinthians. The Apostle Paul is writing, and it's a wonderful picture, I think, that summarizes our conversation today. 1 Corinthians 12:14 through 20. Our bodies don't just have one part. They have many parts. So suppose a foot says, I'm not a hand, and so I'm not part of the body. Wouldn't the foot still belong to the body? Or suppose an ear says, I'm not an eye, so I'm not part of the body. Well, wouldn't the ear still belong to the body? If our bodies were only an eye, we couldn't hear a thing. If they were only an ear, we couldn't smell a thing. But God has put all parts of our body together in the way that He decided is best. A body isn't really a body unless there's more than one part. It takes many parts to make a single body. There's a wonderful verse that Jesus offers us, the teaching that says, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am also. And the picture there is that, hey, you're supposed to gather and do this together. That's part of the design. When Jesus was on the planet, like, he was the manifestation of Christ on the planet. But Jesus said, I'm leaving. We call that the ascension in the church. I'm leaving, and when I go, I'm going to send a homing device, and I'm going to place it inside you, called the Holy Spirit. And that homing device is going to remind you of what home really is. It's going to keep breathing life about the kingdom. It's going to lead you to an awakening. But guess what? It's not going to be in one body like it was in Jesus. This is going to be spread throughout all nations. The Spirit is going to be in you, my followers who believe. And as you awaken, you are now the body of Christ. You're now the Jesus to the world. But you're not meant to do it individually. You're meant to do it together. So we malfunction when we become Lone Rangers. We malfunction when we isolate. We're designed to do this as a body. So we have lots of different people with lots of different skills and lots of different stories, and we should celebrate that diversity. That's what it's meant to be like. And so I want you to meet some of these people. And we've got lots of staff members, of course, who are not here, but here are some of our represented, some of our greatest areas of need and some of the easiest places you can kind of plug in. So, hi. Introduce yourself, tell everybody where you're from and what ministry you're part of.
Hi, I'm Tim. Okay, I just need I've got a little confession or an apology. Last week I spoke up here, and in between service 1 and 2, I went little boy potty, and I forgot to zip, apparently. So for the last 2 services, I'm like, so you guys, I mean, the whole deal. And at the end, my buddy's like, hey, buddy, you know, I'm like, oh. So I just apologize to this row right here. That's about it.
Thank you. We do a lot of confession here at Journey. Thank you, Tim.
I forget what you even asked, but I just felt like I needed to say that. What do I do here? Okay. I do many things in life, but I care most about, you know, we gather for 80 minutes. There are 10,000 80 minutes in a week. We gather for 80 of those, and then we scatter for 10,000 of those minutes until we gather again. How do we walk with Jesus in those 10,000 minutes? Is kind of my purpose in life, with music or with whatever I'm doing. And I get to help all of us try to figure out how do we do that with each other. So not just by yourself, but with a group of people. So we have villages here. They're called small groups, villages. We call them villages. And so I get to work with that. So we'll talk more about that.
Great.
Hi, my name is Samantha, and I'm the event designer here. And I feel like we did where we were from and stuff, too. But
yeah, Tim was supposed to. He just forgot.
Oh, I'm from Mobile by way of Memphis, and Tim is from Orange County, California. I work alongside our staff to create our events and then with our volunteers to implement those events.
Thank you.
Cool, my turn. Hi, my name's Moy. Can everyone say hi, Moy? Yeah. It rhymes with joy and toy and boy. So you cannot forget it now. My name is Moy, and I work here. 25 North. Yes, it's the third service. Yes. 25 North, I work with the kids. Mainly, I'm in like the Foursquare tournament. That's where I live. But I work with the kids. I've been on staff since, I think, April or May, one of those months. And before Nashville, I was in St. Louis.
My name's Rob. I work with students. Hi.
Yeah, give everybody a chance. Try it again.
Sorry. My name's Rob.
That's nice.
Wow, that worked
Feels
well.
like a big recovery group. Which is kind of who we are.
Can I just point out that everyone's eating sausage sandwiches, so I hear the little crinkles, and like no one wants to make a noise.
Are you okay?
No, it's fine. It's just
because I have issues with
like
that.
Feel free to open up your sandwich and enjoy.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
Like
go ahead and make noise.
Something. Yeah. Anyways,
that's a thing, by the way. There's a thing.
Yeah,
for that.
yeah. No, I'm not.
Oh, you're okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
I work with our students. I do have to point out that Moy and I are not related in any way, but we do make up the diversity part of our staff.
We're like on the pamphlets and the website.
So I work primarily with our students. I can't recover from that.
We asked Kevin to give a lot of attention to that over the last year.
We do work closely with the Moy, but primarily I work with our middle school students. And I am from Santa Barbara, California. I've been on staff for 2 years in March.
Fantastic. So Tim, back to you. Why villages? And why join a church staff, for heaven's sakes? So give us your why. Why be a part of a church and this kind of focus on small group communities, and then how could people get involved?
I'll say this. I've said this before, but everybody that you see up here or that's part of this crew, we've all kind of done church before, and none of us ever want to do church again. We want to try to figure out how do we be the church together. So I think that's, and probably if you're here, you're like, yep, me too, hashtag. If we can cut that from the tape. I just meant okay. Wow. Crinkle your papers now. Crinkle your papers now. Yes. Okay. I would say that last week I spoke on us walking with Jesus all week long. With all week long. Like he's at work in the 10,000 minutes. And the other side of that is doing life with other people. I mean, that we're going to be talking a lot about witness in this next year. How do we walk with Jesus and walk with other people? And for me, I know myself and I know the ways that I've been changed and challenged, and that's through other people for the most part. And so villages are so important because it's really doing life with people. I just got back from our village. My village went to Arkansas for this just to hang out and be done and sit in a house for a few days with about 20 kids. It was awesome. So I'm still in recovery at the moment from that. But it's doing life with other people. So if you are like, I'm good, I totally got this going on, then awesome. We're just trying to figure out how can we help you guys walk with Jesus and walk with other people all week long. So I just think it's so powerful, and Jesus thinks it's so powerful, so I think we should jump into it. So we on Tuesday nights, starting the 22nd of January, we start 6 weeks of the Village Experience. So we'll meet in here. There are about 100 of us that meet in tables in here. And it's been a really powerful, beautiful time. The stories that have come from that have been amazing. And then just the relationships that you'll get after that have been powerful as well. So there are also village leaders that we have a great group of those people, but always are looking for more people. And let me just say this, that we don't want to do this work for you. Like, that's not our role, is to like be pastors for you. It's to be pastors with. It's just more powerful that way. We've all seen it done where we're telling you what to do, but we are the church. We don't go to church. We are the church, gathered and scattered. So as far as village leaders, if you guys would be asking Jesus if that's something that he would want you to be a part of, it's just trying to love people well. So in these tables, we have people that just ask good questions. We have the questions, we ask them, but if somebody's wrestling with something, it's not trying to fix anything. It's just saying, I trust God in you, rooted in the Word, in Jesus and his written Word, refined in community, which is what villages are, just refining community, and then reflecting love story of Jesus to the rest of the world. So if you guys would want to be a part of that, let me or Susie know, and yeah, it'll be great. So thanks, you guys.
As you were talking, I was reminded of the statement I heard some guy say years ago. You're the same person 20 years from now, with the exception of 3 things: the people you meet, the places you go, and the books you read. And how many of us, we could all tell stories that it's the people we've met, and many of whom we met here at Journey, that have completely, drastically affected our lives. There truly is this iron sharpens iron. There truly is something about being in, the Greek term is koinonia, this deep fellowship with one another that changes us from the inside out. And so Tim and Susie are just, man, the invitation to be a part of it, but also for some of you, the invitation to lead and guide. Thank you, Tim. Samantha.
Mike, the questions were why and how.
Yeah.
And most embarrassing moment.
Oh, good.
And most embarrassing
Good.
moment. Yes, yeah. Okay.
My why is definitely just the passion that I have for each of you in making this space welcoming and setting tables for each of us to connect with each other and with God. Sometimes physically setting the table, sometimes, just figuratively. But that really brings me a lot of joy, and working alongside people. I'm like making eye contact with, a lot of people went past Jeff to get in here, watching the room, making sure that you get a seat. I'm looking at Kelly, who catered our Christmas Eve dinner with just wonderful food. And there's like a lot of hows, I guess is what I'm getting to. But yeah, I'm losing my train of thought.
List some of the teams. There's a lot of teams that you oversee. So there's a lot of hows for people, where and how people can get involved.
So we have the safety team, which I forgot to mention in the last service, parking team, hosts, including ushers and greeters, and the info table, handing out welcome bags and being like first contact people have with our community or with our tribe. And library, it's not a cart. Library shelf, library station now, and coffee team for sure. Yes.
Now talk about the whys behind some of those teams. So for instance, if we just didn't have coffee,
we would be all really sad.
and perhaps there might be some anger.
And yeah, definitely anger.
But talk about why and how meaningful that's even been for some of the people who've joined that team. It's certainly a hospitality gift, but
I feel like our coffee team is like a little tribe, and on Sundays it's easy to slip in and slip out of here, and the turnover time is so quick. If you are looking for a point of connection to be able to talk with other people who are serving alongside you or other staff, it's like such a wonderful way to just be in community with people and be a face that people meet, and like a listening ear when people walk into our doors. So, yeah.
And talk about the library.
Yes.
Terry
the
and
library
Susie,
is wonderful.
right?
I was talking to Terry. I was like, what do you want me to tell people? And he was like, I'm going to pretend to call you while you're sitting up here and say, I need help. But he is so wonderful to work with. And he's like, you don't have to read every book on the shelf. I've watched Terry sit out there and have hour-long conversations with people who are just hungry. And it's such a safe space to ask questions and not have all the answers, just to be with people. And I think it's a beautiful ministry.
The parking lot's about to expand significantly.
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is your first impressions, a lot of times that makes or break an experience for people. And so if you drive in and
you get to use a two-way radio. I know,
well, there you go.
I hear the guys singing to each other on the radio. So. And
there's flags.
Yeah.
So it could be a worship opportunity too.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Samantha. Moy.
I'm joining the parking committee. I want to do that worship. I want freedom in my life. Okay. Again, my name is Moy. And before I jump into the why and how, I think I want to just paint a picture of what we are, because it just sounds like a lot of noise and kids chanting, Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy. So really what it is, it's 2nd through 5th grade ministry, and we're partnering with families and parents to help guide the journey of a kid's faith. So it's a whole service just like this, but designed for them to really explore God through trial and error, and a safe place to just try to be who they want to be and who they think they want to be, and feel celebrated in their highs and their lows. So that's what 25 North is. Why? One of the main things I think I've learned being part of 25 North is that grace is not for a certain age. It's for everyone. So your 2nd and 3rd graders, they're always asking themselves if they can do it and if they have what it takes. And your 4th and 5th graders are always asking if they belong. And those are the questions we address as adults as well. And so in every age, we're looking for God to come and celebrate us, whether we're winning or we're losing, and whatever that looks like in our lives. So that's why we invest so much in our kids. And how is super simple. Don't run away, please, for fun. It's just hanging out. It's hanging out, playing Jenga, playing Foursquare if you're not, if you got thick skin, okay? It's tough out there. It's just hanging out with the kids. It's leading villages as well. It's just listening, praying, and helping them learn how to articulate what they're feeling and what they're going through, because the elementary years are full of change, and we're expressing a God who doesn't change. So it's really articulating those things monthly, broken down in activities, and it's really just being there. There's so much that happens when you fill a room with people you trust. There's just something that kind of heals itself within you, and kids need that when they're like trying to fit into a structure they don't really know well yet, what's good and what's bad and what's right and what's wrong. So 25 North is just a place where it's all good.
What I love about what you're describing, and it seems thematic, and Rob, I know you'll touch base on this too, is that one of the greatest things we're asking for is just someone with the ability to listen. We have teaching in all these areas. There's teaching that happens with the village experience. There's teaching that happens with the children's ministry. Teaching that happens with youth. But what we try to do is, I don't know if you've ever been in churches where somebody's teaching, but they don't really have a gift of teaching. We're trying to actually go, hey, this is parts of the body. Those who have the gift of teaching, would you please teach? And those of you that feel like, I don't know if I have this gift or I'm intimidated by or whatever else, but you go, but I can listen. Great. That's actually one of the dominant needs. Sometimes we feel this pressure. I think it comes with religious organization that we're supposed to modify behavior and fix people immediately. And we live in the tension of going, we actually believe God's working on people's hearts, minds, and souls, and we'll teach, we'll present truth, we'll offer the story of God, but we're not here to fix you. We don't fix. The Holy Spirit convicts and transforms. We're not looking for fast fixes because we feel awkward. We're looking for transformation, and that means each person has to go on a spiritual journey. Don't just modify your behavior because of what I think. enter into the tension of it all to find God. And we're trying to do that from the age of a child all the way through. And Paige, last week we got to hear a little bit from Paige. She's oversees our preschool. It starts there. I mean, because of what her way of teaching is trying to help invite the children into curiosity and wonder, which sparks the journey. They go, how do I find God? Me, rather than just doing what someone tells me to do. And thank you for that thematically, because I know that's something you've given great attention to. When you say, we don't want to do church, we want to be the church. So thank you for that. Rob.
Yeah, it's so true. I think for students, it's very important to us that we have people that that are good listeners. Excuse me. The why for students is, and why personally I do what I do, is because there was people in my life when I was in middle school and high school that listened, that was present, that introduced me to this guy named Jesus. And it carried on past that. And I got a question for some of y'all. So for those of us that were introduced to Jesus in middle school or high school, will you just raise your hand? There's quite a few of us. Right? And so for us, our job, what I tell our leaders is we're planting seeds. Right? We're trying to get our students to a place where they're aware of who this guy named Jesus is. Right? Because when they go to college, the decisions begin to change. Right? They begin to walk away from the church, walk away from Jesus. And so we're trying to just plant those seeds and let them know that they're known and seen and they're important. Right? And so one of the ways we do that is through our Wednesday nights, through villages. And the cool thing with us is that with students is you get to have some really awesome, fun conversations, but also some really awkward and weird conversations because you're with middle school and high school students, and they're weird, they're awkward. No offense, high school or middle school students, I see you.
Yeah, don't take offense to that.
No, none,
Yeah.
none. Because Tim's weird. But the conversations that we have, and part of it is just being. It's literally just being in the room. You don't have to be the most qualified speaker, teacher, biblical scholar. Like, you just have to be. One of the things that's most important for our ministry is consistency. Right? Having people that are there week in and week out, and part of it is just time. Right? Because we want students when they come and they go, hey, I know that guy. My life may be chaotic and crazy over here, but I can always count on Moy. I can always count on Rob. I can always count on my village leaders to be there. Right? And what we're trying to do as village leaders, yeah, you can count on us, but there's somebody greater, right? There's somebody bigger that you can always count on, right? His name is Jesus. So that's what we do and why we do it.
There's a ministry of presence. There's just, and I think if you've been at Journey in the last year, we've talked a lot about this, just the ministry of presence, of being present. That's one of the hardest things to do, is just be present with someone. And parents, we know what it's like. You're trying to raise adolescents, and the nature of adolescence, I did youth ministry for 13 years before we planned a Journey. The nature of adolescence, it's actually normative and it's supposed to happen developmentally, is that your child's going from dependence to independence. And that's actually really healthy for your child. It doesn't feel like it in the moment, but it's really healthy. Your child's trying to figure out how to do life on their own. And that's where all the tension exists. And there are times where, as your parent, it doesn't matter what you say, they can't hear it because they're going through this developmental process of trying to own it on their own. Which means that they're going to hear it from someone. The question is just always who. It's why, to me, youth ministry in a church is so significant. Unless they have a great coach or unless they have this other great adult friend, they need other voices who may say exactly the same thing you are. Does that ever happen? They come home from the youth group and they're like, you're not going to believe what Rob said. And you're like, I've been saying that since you were born. But they can't hear it. Because they need to hear it from someone else, because they're going through this very natural transition of finding life on their own. And they're meant to. It's the kids that don't, as Rob said, if they're only believing what we tell them and they don't have a storm-weathered faith, then they go off to college, they go off to the workforce, they go off to the military, they leave school, they leave high school, and they get lost because they've never had a chance to actually go through some critical thinking about faith. Now, a lot of times they go on that journey anyway, but if we've implanted the seeds of truth of the gospel and there were deep relationships, I can't tell you how many kids come back from college and go, hey, that guy made the difference and I trusted him. How many of you could go back to a story of somebody significant in your adolescence that to this day has great meaning in your life? And what was probably the greatest gift they gave you? The presence. They were there for you when you needed them. And some of you, today's the day. This is your opportunity, 2019, to step into the life of a child or a teenager and fill the gap for, it might be 1 year. This just might be 2019. You go, I'm in for 1 year. You got me for 1 year. And that might be it, but that might be the difference in the lifetime of a child. We were talking about with kids that one of the things that happens is you got kids who you often have the kid who acts out. Child, middle school, high school, there's one kid, just always acting out. And you go, well, what's up with this one kid? He's always creating a disturbance or causing trouble. Maybe some of you guys have led an organization, so you understand that experience. Or maybe you were the person who acted out. Well, why does that happen? Typically, it happens for one of two reasons. Number one, they have a great need that's not being met. Or number two, they're bored. And they need to be stretched. Well, that's not just kids. It's true for us, too. Some of you are here and you have great need. And one of the great ways to meet that need is actually through serving. Some of you are here and you need to be stretched. Like you're bored. You get in trouble when you're bored. That's where you get in trouble. Serve. Sink your teeth into something that might be an opportunity. So, we just have a few minutes left. I want to say a few things about some other staff members, but is there, would you guys just be thinking, is there a story, an inspirational story, something that has really kind of inspired you over the last year that's happened, because we love stories, that you guys could share a story. All right, so you guys be thinking about that. I want to say a few things about a couple other staff members while they're coming up with a story. Randy Hansen is the guy who oversees all the technical aspects of Journey. He's in the back. Would you say hi to Randy back there? Randy has been here since before anybody. He's been here since the earliest days of Journey. When we planted 13 years ago, we merged with a church just about 8 months into that, and he was a part of the previous church. So he's been here since the earliest days. And if you have technical experience, especially as we go into the future, we need you. For those of you who are live streaming, you have Randy to thank for that. If you have any problems with live streaming, Randy@journeytn.com. Not Jamie at JourneyTN. Hey, honestly, there is so much work he's been putting into this, and even the live streaming thing, it became a necessity. We have 400 to 600 people a Sunday watching on live stream because we don't have space for them. And we anticipate that need's going to continue. So if you have camera experience, we're going to need that going into the future. So see Randy. Caitlin oversees what happens with music. She was leading today. You've seen Caitlin probably quite a bit up here. Alyssa oversees our communications. Brett oversees everything with the creative arts. Two of our lay people, Cully and Shelley, are helping shape what we're calling kind of an arts renaissance thing for 2019. We're going to do a handful of events related to fine art and some other things related to the arts as a way of we're going to roll out some stuff. We're getting ready to go serve the community in the world again. In March, we're going to roll out an opportunity to sponsor children in Brazil and Haiti. Stuff is coming of us going out and serving. And so before all that hits, we want to make sure we're doing self-care here and making sure we're serving one another. Because we don't want to be an organization. We want to be a church. Every name, every person matters. And if we're just counting on these guys as our church grows to just run everything, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to miss the moments with kids. Because we need to have numbers in there who make sure that every person is seen and known. Sam Barnhart is our care pastor, and so if you're in a place where you go, man, I need some guidance, career help, I need marriage stuff, parenting. Sam has been he's basically been serving everybody. This year he's creating mentoring teams that are helping it. Now we do some professional care as well, like a number of different levels of that. But then we also just have lay mentors who go, hey, I just need to be with someone who can help me with a spreadsheet. Hey, I just need someone to help me with my career. Hey, I just need some help with parenting. Sam's putting together a team. If you go, hey, I'm at the season of life where I think I can give back through some mentoring. Sam Barnhart, you can catch him, sam@journeytn.com. Or, again, click on this sign up to serve, and we'll get a hold of you there. There's lots of places. And we're just asking you, if you consider Journey home, would you find a place to plug in and give back? A story.
Well, you might have a story. I was just going to say this. If you just close your eyes for a second. If I was going to say three people that have had this huge effect in your life, who are those people? Had a thumbprint on your story. Your past, even today. would be amazing just to actually reach out to those people today and just give them a thank you text. But I think the invitation here is, what would Jesus want? How would he want to use us to do that same thing in each, somebody else's story, whether it's youth or just a peer-to-peer type thing. I just think we all have these stories of these people that have put thumbprints on our stories, and those are the best stories we have, I think.
You can open your eyes. Rob.
Yeah, I think one story in particular for us and students, in particular in middle school, it's similar to what Jamie was talking about with the distracted. We had a kid who he was in foster care, and it was apparent that there were some big needs. And we were doing our best to serve him in the midst of what we do, and he was pretty distracting. And there was probably a period of about a month where we were kind of pulling him out of service, kind of trying to talk to him and calm him down and pull him back in, and just trying to figure out how to do this with him. I know for me, my patience was running pretty thin. And there was this moment where he kind of acted out. We kind of had a conversation, went back in, and he was pretty upset because he was like, I don't think you're listening to me, or whatever the conversation was. And we walked back in, and music started. And a couple minutes after music started, he pulls me aside and says, "Hey, can we chat?" And I'm thinking in my head, okay, there's something else. Got to use the restroom, something, right? I was not present at that moment. And I was totally convicted because the kid came up to me and was like, "Hey, I don't hear from God." Like completely out of left field. It was like, I don't hear from God, and I want to. I'm praying for this. I'm praying for this. and I'm hearing nothing. And it was just this amazing moment and a huge reminder of the importance of listening, of being present, of just being able to walk with a student. I was so convicted. And I also felt so blessed to be a part of that moment. And that's the cool thing with serving, I think, with any of these areas is, yeah, we put our thumbprint, but oftentimes when we serve, the people put thumbprints back on us. Right, there's an impact that we even feel, I think, sometimes when we serve in any of these areas. So I think that's the beauty of doing life together.
Would you pray with me? In just a moment, I'm going to invite those who have partnered with Journey to come up and join us, but I just want to offer a prayer for us. Father, thank you for Rob's reminder that it's not just about serving others and impacting their lives, but it's the recognition that as we serve, we're impacted. And God, it seems to be a reflection of the Trinity that there's this constant pouring out of relationship, and yet there's this constant taking in. And both are supposed to exist. We're meant to serve, and we're meant to be served. And God, some of us, depending on our stories and our personalities, we have trouble on either side of that. We love to serve, but it's hard to give. Or we love to give, but it's hard to serve. God, would you help us find some harmony and some balance in that? To learn the vulnerability of receiving, and then to also know the sacrifice of giving. So, Father, would you prompt our hearts this morning about how we might participate and contribute in this local expression of the church we call Journey. In Jesus' name, amen.